Okay, so I was recording this video and I thought everything was going great. I'm like, cool, I said everything. And then I check Audacity and Audacity shut down because I ran out of memory. So that's fun. So the audio right now is obviously after the fact, after I hopefully fix that problem. But the audio for the actual video is a little echoey. So I apologize for that. Hopefully my next video should be better. Honestly, probably better that I got it out at least fixed kind of now before later. It's because, God, even then this was a long ass video. Like, oh my God. But in any case, so sorry about that. I tried to clean it up a little bit and try to fix the levels a little bit. But yeah, apologies. Hopefully enjoy this video still and my thoughts on Doug Walker's thoughts on The Owl House.
Oh, my name's Fox. My name is Fox. Two things came out yesterday. One of them was a Hell of a Boss music video, which I'm gonna watch at some point, and also the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer, the new one for New Empire, which I'm not gonna watch that because I want to go in blind. Of course, now wait a minute. There's gonna be goddamn late. Wait, what? Why is that? I had that to updating for the past like 3 hours. Okay, so. You know me, I love The Owl House. Owl is my favorite animated show right now. Even though it's finished, it's still probably my #1 favorite one. I really like the characters, show, and all that stuff. Channel Awesome, aka, well, Nostalgia Critic, especially, Doug Walker. A lot of the times, like, when certain things come out, he'll either go against some of it a little bit, but then also, it really depends. Like, the thing is, too, like, me watching, oh, I should probably react to Death Battle, too. God. But there's a lot of like there's sometimes where like I kind of like watch I like watching Nostalgia Critic stuff. Whatever shit happened in the past, I don't know. Well, I just know that there was some shit that happened. But he has certain point of views when he looks at certain things that it's kind of interesting, honestly, to see the different point of views, stuff like that. And honestly, has made me like certain other things more. And certain like things that I brought up and stuff that he brings up that does work or doesn't work, stuff like that. And I legitimately like that. I saw he did a DisneyCember on The Owl House, a show that I didn't know he watched, and I'm just looking at him like, I don't know how this is gonna go. But like I don't know. I want to see what his thoughts on it are, and I like The Owl House, so why the hell not? Let's just see how this goes. 3, 2. Because there's certain things like I think the Sonic movies he didn't like, even though that's a more thing. Like, that's the weird thing. Like I think the Nostalgia Critic does have more of a critic kind of thing. Like there's the audience and general audience and critic. I think he rather leans towards the critic side of that. But I don't know. Let's just see this. What the hell is this? Why is it so pixelated?
It's so weird to think years after Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, these...
Okay, good start.
Series that practically invented a new genre, there still technically isn't a name for that genre. I always just kind of called them cartoon epics because it's not like Batman or X-Men or those are animated series. Everybody's supposed to look pretty realistic. These are clearly cartoons. The features are exaggerated, usually for comedic effect. Zany slapstick can happen and so forth, but in the long run, it slowly reveals itself as a big epic story.
Hell yeah.
The Owl House definitely falls into that category.
Hell yeah, I'm liking this so far.
Cartoon epics go, this is probably the fastest I got into one of these shows.
Oh.
Luce is an awkward teenager who's into awkward things, and sadly...
Okay, hold on. So far, it seems to be going pretty well, so I just want to better. Let's keep going. It's kind of hard to see.
I can't make any friends, which, I'll be honest, I don't buy at all. You're telling me this kid couldn't make friends with these type of kids or these type of kids or any of these types you see at any school? Well, anyway, her mother is sending her to a camp that's hopefully gonna make her more normal, but when she accidentally stumbles into a fantasy world called the Boiling Isles, she decides to spend her summer there, hoping her mother never puts together that she's not actually a camp. While there, she befriends a witch named Ida, an adorable nobody-knows-what named King, a hilariously obnoxious door knocker named Hootie, and several other witches, demons, and just all-around strange creatures. If you've been watching my reviews and you know what I like, you can probably tell I gravitated towards this world right away.
Okay, yeah.
It's funny, one of the subplots in the show is about combining different elements because that's probably what I like the most about this show. On top of it being very, very funny and having very likable characters, the premise seems to be all about combining things that have been done before, but putting them together to make something new.
Huh. That's... Like my stories themselves do shit like that. I'm trying to do shit like that with Owl Wolf Town. But that is actually something that happens in the Owl House too. That is actually surprising. Oh, I never caught that theme. Holy shit!
And I love when a show does that. To me, this show feels like a mix between Kiki's Delivery Service and Beetlejuice. It has the heart and wonder of Kiki, but also the dark twisted humor of Beetlejuice. Honestly, this would probably be my favorite out of all the cartoon epic series if it wasn't for just one thing that drove me absolutely insane. But we'll get to that in a bit. And honestly, I don't think it's going to bother other people as much as it does me.
Okay.
The characters, on top of being really, really funny, are pretty instantly likable. Even ones you're not supposed to like, for the most part, evolve in a way where they become really complex.
Okay, is it gonna be Bellis's death?
And interesting.
Or something?
Ida is an outlaw who's constantly on the run, but at the same time is always selling human stuff. It's almost like Little Mermaid, how she misinterprets what everything is. So Luz constantly explains what everything is, while Ida agrees to teach her all about being a witch. I always love this setup where the person showing you this kind of dangerous world is also kind of a dangerous person herself. She's a charlatan, she breaks the rules, and sometimes they're good rules to break, and sometimes they're not very good rules to break. Combining that with Luz's constant need to want to discover and explore, it just leads to this really great, creative, and fun world to explore. What I really like about this show is, unlike a lot of shows I've been talking about recently, where they'll kind of have a really underwhelming first season where they just stay in one spot, here, they definitely have a spot they return to with the Owl House, which on its own is actually very imaginative and holds a bunch of secrets. But they'll still venture out and go to different places. Some of them are a little familiar, like there is a witch school, which is very clearly Hogwarts. And yeah,
No, they make the fun as hell. They make fun of that shit as much as they can, though.
that's not really my thing, but I will admit what they do with it is funny. They even do make some good jokes about Hogwarts in there. My stuff is more when they go to different places that have different creatures and even learn different types of magic. I really love what they do with the world building where Luz actually figures out a different way to use this magic. It's a little complicated to explain, and I guess I don't want to give away too much, but
It really isn't. Here's the simplest way to explain it. You seen Full Metal Alchemist? And I don't say that in a sense of ripping off, because it's more, honestly, I think it's more complicated for Full Metal Alchemist than it is in this, because at least in the Owl House, they explain it pretty easily what everything. I guess Full Metal Alchemist they kind of do they do at least in Brotherhood, where like the quote unquote magic for the alchemic symbols come from and all that stuff. Owl House, similar. It's honestly in a similar vein, but at least Owl House makes an explanation for why certain symbols do whatever. I remember back in the day, like wanting to quote unquote learn alchemy. I never could, because it's like, because I'm as far as I know, I don't think there's actually a thought process into certain symbols other than it looks cool. So yeah, alchemic things, you don't understand it because you haven't studied alchemy. Where Owl House, the symbols, okay, fire plus this equals this. Okay, you mix with the light glyphs around and boom, you turn invisible. Like, that makes more sense. Like, I don't know.
But it ties into drawing, which is really great for Luz because she obviously loves to do drawings and fan art and stuff. And it's also great because she has to discover it. Ida kind of teaches her, kind of gives her a few ideas, but then she kind of evolves.
Yeah, man.
It. There's a lot of things that work that way, where again, you're taking these different elements that you're familiar with, but there's a lot of things that work that way, where again, she loves to do drawings and fan art and stuff. And it's
Which I never caught that either. Well, I caught that Luz likes drawing, but I never really caught the idea of her liking glyphs and then all like drawing glyphs and then also tying with her liking to draw too. That's God.
Discover it. Ida kind of teaches her, kind of gives her a few ideas, but then she kind of evolves it. There's a lot of things that work that way, where again, you're taking these different elements that you're familiar with, but you combine them in a way that hasn't been combined before, and you make something that's really exciting, fun, and new. It's actually one of the few shows where I was more okay with the social dilemmas and the side adventures than I was with the overall big story. There's a little bit of a mystery of where King comes from, and honestly, the reveal is good. I mean, he does have a good backstory, but if you never ever told me what his backstory was, I'd be okay with it. The character is just so likable, and I love seeing him interact with everybody that I would still be satisfied.
Yeah, and but the thing is, they kind of did that with Hootie.
Some of the characters you think are gonna be one note and boring really come around and become some of the best things in the show. Like, look at this character named Amity. Just from that intro, don't you immediately know what this character is gonna be? She's gonna be the bully. She's gonna be the Malfoy or the It punks. Just the characters that are there to only be the antagonist. Nothing.
And that turns out it's more Pasha.
Interesting at all. But not only do they give her a tragic backstory that ties into her parents, which, yeah, okay, we've seen something like that before, but they also give her a love interest, which, okay, that's two things that you've seen in other series before, but combining those two together with what is usually just a side bully character, and it's all done in the first season, suddenly transforms her from being the least interesting character to the most.
I just realized that how the Boiling Isles does the days. It's like the European style of it, where it does the day and then the month, because assuming these are days back to back.
Transforms her from being the least interesting character to the most interesting character. I like her connection with her parents. I find it interesting. Her little crush that she's afraid to tell is also really kind of adorkable. Even when some series do decide to finally evolve into villains, in my opinion, they're usually done too late. Like Malfoy, again, is done in, like, what, movie 6? So you got...
Wait, Malfoy's made into a good guy at some point? When? I don't even remember that.
Like 5 movies of him being a complete drag, but here, it feels right she should start off as kind of the snobby bully and evolve over the first season. She doesn't feel like she's there just to be an obstacle. She is a fully fleshed out character. Which is more than I can say for the main villain of the show. Okay, let me get to the one thing I really didn't care for in this series. I don't like Bellows.
To be fair, not a lot of people like Bellows, but I think you're gonna dislike him in a different sense. But let's see.
Bellows is the big bad guy of the series, and maybe 20 years ago he would have worked, but nowadays he's just Mum-Ra, the Horned King, the Fire Lord, villains that worked fine in those properties years ago, but nowadays is just an irredeemable monster that's clearly trying to tie into the commentary the show is trying to get across.
I mean, yes. That's kind of his point. He is supposed to be an irredeemable monster. That's it. You get it.
I found this aggravating for 3 reasons. One, like I said, I think he's boring. Near the end, they kind of have fun making his design really creepy and cool. Like, this is almost some PG-13 territory, but for the most part, he's just the big boring baddie. Second, I thought the show was doing much better with its commentary when it wasn't being so direct. For example, Ida has a curse in this show, and she has to learn how to...
To be fair, and on this point too, to be fair, I think it's, man, which episode was it? I can't remember. It's the one where Lou straight up says, boy, wouldn't it have been great if we were able to have a bunch more adventures? Pretty much saying from this point onward, yes, we gotta cram everything a little bit more into this final second half of season 2, as well as then the last 3 episodes of season 3. Which are, season 3 is only 3 episodes, 3 big specials, which again, still good. And honestly, at most of the shows of these cartoon epics that like Doug was saying, out of these cartoon epics, they did way better than certain frog shows. But yeah, so.
To live within the people around her.
And let me say this too. I will say that because I liked Kipo, and again, it was the kind of idea, and like stuff like Kipo or even the Samurai Jack one, which even though there's video evidence of me saying this stuff, of saying me that I did like these, which I do, but I did kind of hold back certain thoughts on certain things, and for specifically, get out of here, specifically, like certain endings felt a little rushed, but then again, Samurai Jack also had an ending in the video game, which I have, which I'm gonna play probably at some point too. But yeah, there's certain endings like, Owl House actually had an ending that was good and tied everything together while also still allowing for more stories to be told, which I liked. Anyways.
Have to learn how to live with it. And there's a lot of ways you could interpret that. You can interpret that as a physical disease or a mental disease or even just being socially awkward or not fitting in or trying to figure out how to fit in. There's so many ways you could interpret it. And there's a lot of commentary like that in this. Things kind of have this broad range. With Bellows, there's
Yep.
only one thing he could represent, and it's so on the nose, and you get it the first time you see him, yet you have to go through half the series with them hammering in this message. And I just don't feel like they're adding anything that new to it. Third, so much of
I feel like also Doug might be a little bit against. I'm not entirely sure what his religious standing point is a little bit, but like just saying a little bit, because I do know, if I remember, I think he is religious. I think there's some religious stuff, at least family-wise, or at least grown up religiously, if I'm remembering correctly, which Bellows very much is kind of a little bit about religion. So, but I'm just saying. Like, that could be a little bit, like, I'm just saying, I know someone who, like, really loves her dogs, and when my youngest sister asked her to read a paper about, like, owners putting basically, like, words in their dogs' mouths and stuff like that, she did not want to read the paper because it very much reflected on her, so she didn't read it. So, I'm just saying, like, there could be some of that going on. I don't know, but
the series is not judging a book by its cover. Luce comes to the scary, creepy place, but there's actually a lot of charm to it and a lot.
Also, no, because then Bellows, it took me a long time to figure out what the hell his whole shit was. Like, as soon as I saw Bellows, I was like, what the hell is your issue? What is your deal? I don't think I thought, oh yeah, like, because I first thought it was going to be an Ozai thing. You bring up Avatar. Like, yeah, he wants to take over the human world. When he said, no, I don't want to take over the human world, that was the part where I was like, what? You get the idea he wants to control you. He wants to put that, like, again, like, it's the idea of trying to, I guess, make everything normal and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Anyways, let's just keep going. And persecuting those people who aren't normal. Anyways.
And it's all about accepting others and finding different points of view, and maybe people you think are scary aren't scary. Except for that guy. He totally is. Yeah, he looks like a monster. He is a monster. Don't even trust him for a second.
No, I'm going to go against Doug on this one, because literally the whole point of the very end, where you have Luz against Bellows, the main thing is that Bellows looks like a human. He looks like a regular person, a real regular old kind of man. And Luz looks like an evil demon. Like, that's literally, like, no, I'm going against Doug on this. No, that's, you missed something there, bud. You missed something there. You missed something there. The idea is that he's a powerful witch. He's like, he really isn't. He's a goddamn regular human. And, like, the whole idea is that he looks like a regular human being, kind of. Like, that's the whole thing. He does it. And then, like, it turns out he is the most vicious monster there is.
And there's no good in him. If they went out of their way to show the human side to this guy, like why he...
They did. It's just an ugly-ass human side. It's just that he's just the evil, bigoted monster. That's what he is. That's the human side. You don't need to sympathize with him. He's a bigoted monster.
He believes what he believes, which they do hint at a little bit with his backstory, which I also didn't think was that well done. How can nobody put together who this guy was?
Because he was separated by a few freaking lot of years.
But they just don't try to show any humanity to this guy. They just say
because he doesn't need it.
He's evil. Boom. Done. And I think that's really betraying the message. You can have a guy get to a point where he is beyond saving, but I think you need to show he was a person who could be influenced like any of us could, because that...
But okay, Doug, you missed something here. Like, if he's watching this, you missed something here, bud. You did. You get the idea that he was just like a kid who playing games and stuff like that. But you see, since he was young, he was indoctrinated into this idea of witches are evil and indoctrinated that magic is evil, all this stuff. And his hatred and bigotedness grew from being raised like that as a kid, and then slowly as he evolved. You missed that part, bud. You missed it. To the point where he had a choice between his brother and his religion, and he went with the religion and killed his brother. Like, you missed that, bud. Like, I get you gotta watch a whole shit ton of Disney stuff. I 100% understand that. Well, I think he said he watched a lot of these throughout the year, but still, like, come on, like, that was the, come on.
That's the idea. It's like the Lorax. Anyone could become this guy, but it became like the Lorax, where there's just this generic bad guy we can throw all our hate into and say, boo, it's all his fault, boo, and the show just feels like...
No, because then also you see... No, because again, he missed something. Because then, this is the thing, I like Doug's takes, there was some shit there I didn't notice, but I am going against this part, because you know that Bellows... Because again, one, the idea like, oh, you know the evil bad guy is evil because evil. No, by the end, his death, you see him as a human, but then when the Boiling Isles hits him, Luz looks like an evil demon. But when the water hits them and he burns away, you see that, no, the water doesn't touch Luz. She's pure. She's a part of the Isle. She's, the good one, where you see the humanity burn away, leaving only the monster underneath. And again, the whole idea with, like that, like the idea too, like we see it in the ending of season 2, kind of, where he pretty much does what happened to him as a kid. He indoctrinates a group of people into his religion, and through using that indoctrination, villainizes Ida, villainizes being free, wild magic, all this stuff, making even more monsters and more people, more bigoted people. It makes, I would say, it makes even more quote-unquote villains like that. And we even see in the end that some of those people are still around. I think Doug kind of missed something there.
Get smarter and better than that. Because of this, we also get the major climax we see in all of these shows now. Don't you know there's gonna be some major monster they have to fight? Don't you know it's gonna all tie into some big obvious moral? Don't you know when one of the main characters apparently dies, they're not really dead?
Oh, but no, shut up. Shut up, because yes, of course, yes, I got it. I got the concept. But also on that same note, out of Amphibia and Owl House, I'm gonna go with Owl House.
Didn't I already...
Owl House one with that, even though Anne was like, yeah, she's dead. Here's a clone of her. It's like, oh my god, just let her be dead at that point. The Owl House one at least was like, okay, we're going to do the death scene so she can be brought back, but then we're also going to give her a god power with that. And then she's going to come back and have an epic battle that then showcases all of her training with Ida and them, where she looks like her family. See, there's that familial part that I feel like Doug is kind of missing in all of this too, because that is a theme that also runs through a lot of this also, is that whole idea of, finding your people, finding your, found family, and lose that, the death and then the quote-unquote rebirth as someone who not only is obviously Camilla's daughter, but then resembles Ida and also resembles King's older sister. The rebirth of that, showing that Ida and King are as much family to Luz as Camilla is. It's like that. Yes, I get the whole death thing, but also say no. It led to a rebirth of Luz being fully 100% going this is my family.
See half a season where the main character spend time in our world and then...
Okay, no. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Because here's the thing. And here's where I'm going to defend Amphibia. The Amphibia part where, if I'm not going to say it's better than the Owl House. Hell no. I like the Owl House one better. Not to mention, the Owl House did it in one episode. But the Amphibia's Earth scenes, in season 3A of Amphibia, the first half, was way better than the second half. Oh my god, design-wise, characters, oh my god, it was so much better. I'm defending this one.
I have to go back.
Go to Starverse if you want a bad human episode, because that was 90% of the show and it was awful.
To the fictional world, and a whole bunch of glowy stuff happens with people crying and somebody realizing who they really were all the time. It just feels...
Oh, shut up. If you didn't tear up at this, you're a monster. You're a monster no.
It's so done now. To me...
See, again, like I said, Doug has some really good takes and then some really bad ones. That's like, oh, like, God, shut, like, that's the thing. I love watching his shit. Because, again, I get both halves. I get some really cool ways, like, I didn't see it that way. On the other hand, I'm like, shut the hell up.
A real threat would be something like a cute little cuddly character, like the one from Cat Don't Dance. I was trying to make the world all bright and colorful and not so strange and weird, but ironically enough, they do give us that. Yeah, there's this kid character called the Collector who has a really interesting backstory and wants to make everything
Okay, now here's the question of how much did he pay attention here?
right. And
Because the idea being that the Collector is supposed to represent almost a season 1 Luz who took the Boiling Isles as just a magical playground and only slowly learned it to be good. Like, that's the kind of idea that will the Collector see it as just that? Like, that's the question of, I want to see if Doug brings that up.
colorful and everybody's his toys and everything, and they do flesh out the human side of him while also making him a villain, and this is great. This is what I would have loved the whole show to be around, but even when he starts to be the main focus, in comes Bellows again, because, you know, we gotta put our obvious commentary over the story, and
What do you mean? Let's the entire fucking story!
for me, it was so dull, so generic, and so recycled. But okay, before you kill me, that's my personal take. And I think objectively, for this type of show in modern day, this is still a character that works fine. This is a show that's also trying to entertain the kids, and they are gonna throw in some tropes that, yes, maybe adults have seen over and over and we're tired of and we caught on to, but kids wouldn't have yet. But I guess when a show like
Bellows is the bad guy, yes. That's it. Like, honestly, here's the thing. I'll say this again. Again, I feel like Bellows is honestly fine as the bad guy in that sense. I honestly was kind of, like, legitimate, like, someone started, I guess, like, a webcomic of this kind of idea that not that I, like said and they should do it, but I did say it in, like, I think the first review of the first episode of season 3 of how amazing would it have, or the season finale actually of season 2, where like how amazing would it have been if it had ended with Luz and Bellows going to the human realm and Luz having to like pretend like Bellows was the one that, like, pretty much like the idea that Luz and Bellows have to team up and Luz has to be kind of quote unquote his guide and stuff. I would say like that would be extremely interesting on that. There's a comment about that. Sorry, I don't remember the name of it, but someone's doing a comic like that, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. It's like on Twitter. I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. I said yes. Like, yeah, that'd been great. But Bellows never needs like that whole thing, because we already know his backstory. We know he's killed his brother. We know that he chose the religion over that. This is more like, here's the weirdest shit. Because this is something that not only have I seen, but a bunch of people have looked into that and seen that. And Doug, coming off as someone who likes Avatar: The Last Airbender, and someone like literally has like Edward Bosco in like a few episodes and stuff like that, like, it's weird how he didn't pick that shit up. Those background things, but then again, he's not pausing to check the background for certain things, I guess. But like or again, there could be the whole idea with religion on that note, where again, if I remember correctly, he does come from a religious kind of family kind of stuff. So maybe it's kind of idea of going, hey, religion's bad, and then this guy's kind of going, yeah, well, so like, you know.
this starts off making fun of certain tropes, like one of my favorite episodes is kind of disproving the whole idea of the chosen one, like why it's been over.
Wait, did he say that's one of his favorites? Because that's actually kind of awesome.
Disproving the whole like over and over, and we're tired of, and we caught on to, but kids wanted to be. But I guess when a show like this starts off making fun of certain tropes, like one of my favorite episodes is kind of.
Well, yeah, okay, he said one of his favorites. It's funny because a lot of Owl House fans, which, mind you, I like that episode as well. A lot of some Owl House, like, that was boring episode. I'm like, no, that's freaking great. I love that. And also is one of the reasons why I like the Owl House, the idea that she's not Luz isn't a chosen one and all this stuff. It's great. She's just a regular one. That's also why I love the magic system in the Owl House too. Even though, yes, the Titan does give her like the things, the glyphs are that anyone could learn glyphs. Anyone could use glyphs.
Disproving the whole idea of the chosen.
I actually want to see how he's going to talk about this in a
It's
second.
overdone. It can be manipulative, and maybe it shouldn't be done so much, but then kind of continues with these tropes that's also being done too much is kind of manipulative too. It feels like a downer.
Okay, I feel like Doug missed some things. Because honestly, here's what I would have brought up. Like the whole trope is that, yes, that Luz isn't the chosen one, stuff like that, and I just said how I like that as well. There is also the thing that she kind of is the chosen one. In a sense that without Luz, Belos would never have gained the power. He would never have gained the light glyph, which then allowed him to use a lot more different magics. That would have happened. And then on this, because of the whole time travel thing, creating a paradox, with pretty much making her a chosen one in that sense. But also, King's dad specifically tries to keep Luz safe and gives her the glyphs to use magic so she can protect King and all this other stuff. Like, there is still the idea of the chosen one while also not being chosen one. I feel like Doug is missing something, Sebs, because that's like, I thought he would have brought it up. Like, the idea that there's an episode where it's not about the chosen one, but it turns out Luz kind of is the chosen one. But mind you, it is more on the sense of chosen by her family, because only through her family, her new family, the Clawthorns and all that, accepting her, and eventually even like King's dad is the lady accepting her as well, like all this stuff, is why she becomes a quote-unquote chosen one. Not because of just some prophecy or whatever. It's the idea that her family chose her, which ties in more to the theme of found family and, the family being together and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'd say that's a really smart writing move.
But again, objectively, I can't say it's bad. It still gets across the message well enough. It still unites the characters together. It still makes the bad guys look bad, but have a little wiggle room for good. Well,
and again, that's your hang up on this, Doug. That's your hang up on this. You don't need, like, by God, no. Again, I'm loving every shit you're saying. Like, I never realized the whole combination thing tying in not only with glyphs, but also with the different people and tropes and stuff like that. That's actually very interesting. I like that idea. I like that a lot. This is I found having open dialogue with him. But flip side of all that shit, like, you don't need, like, you're someone who I've seen literal things of, like, why can't we just have bad guys be bad guys? Maleficent was great because right now she has a tragic backstory. I've seen, if I'm remembering correctly, I've seen you, Doug Walker, at least in Nostalgia Critic and all this stuff, say similar shit where it's like, why does every bad guy need a bad backstory? Why can't we just have an evil bad guy? Like, hi, his name is Belos. There you go! He's literally an irredeemable monster that you love to hate and see the shit get kicked out of him by the end. And it shows that again, I feel like the only reason you're against this character right now is simply because his representation is for religion shit. Like, it's like certain types of religions, mind you. Like, that indoctrination, which could lead into bad things. I feel like that's the only reason he's, like, against this right now. That's the only reason. Like, oh my God. Like, I've seen him have the exact thing of, like, why can't bad guys just be bad guys and be evil guys that we hate? Anyways, whatever.
Again, some of them, not the main baddie, but for the part of the show that has earned the right to just be a kid's show, this is okay. But I feel like shows like this have two more goes with this type of character. Someone who's just irredeemably evil, and that's it. Even Jack Horner is funny. You can make him irredeemably evil, just add something unique to it. And Belos, to me, is nothing unique. But he's not enough to ruin the show by any means. Just drag it down from what I would pretty much...
No, because if you honestly gave me, like, two irredeemable monsters, like, if you told me, like, Avatar: Last Airbender, is the one I'm thinking of. Ozai, Fire Lord Ozai. Fire Lord Ozai sucks. He is not a good villain at all. And even like how they beat him in the end is kind of stupid. Because it's just like, yes, Aang learns the fifth element. Just... It's really dumb. Bellows, I think, is at least way better because you at least kind of see the trail of all the shit that leads up to him becoming a monster, and like even like his abilities are freaking cool, and then him becoming even like at least Kaiju was pretty badass. I don't think you needed him to be funny. You don't need him to be something that was likable. You want a character that you hate. let him be that. I honestly would put like Bellows is something like similar to something like Maleficent and all this other stuff. They're just bad guys to be bad guys. Although Bellows has way more of a reason. Bellows is more of a certain reason than organization to be a bad guy versus something like Maleficent where it's just like, he didn't invite me to his birthday party. Fuck your daughter. Like,
consider a perfect show otherwise. But also, like I said, I don't think everyone's gonna have the same reaction I did. Because I do think this show is trying to hit everyone, but let's face it, is trying to hit certain groups of people more than others. I do think there are going to be quite a few folks that are going to connect to it more than I am. Or at least certain elements more than I am. For me, I connected to the strange world, the strange characters, and the great comedy. I did hear a lot about how this show was supposed to have more seasons, but Disney kind of screwed them over, so they had to squeeze a lot in the last few episodes and kind of call that a season. But honestly, I thought a lot of that worked better than what most people were building up.
I agree with that.
A lot of people were saying it's really awkward sometimes, and
no.
I didn't really get that. Again, all the awkward stuff I kind of just got from the Bellows character. To a point where, like I said, I really wish the Collector was the big bad guy in all this.
No, because again, I feel like, again, the whole idea with the Collector is simply to show how far Luz has grown from season 1 to now. Just give season 1 Luz a shit ton of magical powers.
But yes, at the same time, this is a show that also kind of wants to celebrate.
God damn, it's badass. Look at that badass. Look at this goddamn giant kaiju of a titan. Hell yeah.
Its tropes. It wants to also incorporate all the tropes that something like Adventure Time and Gravity Falls and so forth have also incorporated. And it's hard to find.
Hell yeah, my girl.
Especially when the main character is obsessed with shows and animes and drawings and stuff like that. It makes sense. So I definitely strongly recommend this. If you like things that are weird and odd and crazy, bizarre worlds, this is definitely for you. And if not, well, you're probably not watching me anyway. The problems I think it has, I don't think everyone else is going to consider a problem, so either you're going to get a great show that's going to have some distracting faults.
I gotta read Morning Mark's Grom Factor because he's doing like a whole thing where it's like a continuation of the Owl House, but it's following Luz and Amity's daughter, which, yes. And there's even like a whole Grom thing, story arc going on right now, which I gotta watch because apparently even like, is it Azura? I can't remember. I don't know the name yet. I gotta read it. But apparently Luz and Amity's daughter's girlfriend kind of shares a curse with Grom, and people have theorized that she might get a Grom form, and I'm like, by God, I want to see what the hell that's gonna look like.
Or you're just gonna get a great show. It seems to have a die-hard fan base, and it isn't difficult to see why. It's very likable, very creative, very funny, combines a lot of what many animation audiences enjoy, yet does so in a way that creates something really exciting and new. It may not be perfect, but goddamn, it comes pretty close.
Luz! God. Alright, that wasn't that bad. Again, my only gripe with him is Bellows. I don't need Bellows to be redeemable. I would say Bellows works as an antagonist as a meta level of series. He changes and grows and stagnates. Every character displays the facets of humanity. He, one of few humans, show none. The world is depth. He is shallow. People become more honest or reach their true potential. He hides behind lies and falls short of what he could be. This world is driven by imagination, welcomes anyone and something great to offer, but he is dogmatic, hateful, and cruel. He exists to be a bad guy on every level. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a dead horse to beat at this stage, but The Owl House comes across as a wonderful series set in a fantastic world that makes sense for the villain to be someone direct, antithesis, all that. Probably why we root for his defeat, so we can get back to the character's full life and have fun again. Plus, it's also refreshing to have a villain just straight up a vile person. Yes, kind of like Jack Horner, but not as entertaining. But also, a lot of this might have been part due to rush production. It's either it almost didn't happen at all, and yeah. The worst part is that we're given the time they wanted. They might actually have shown Bellows' past and how he went from adoring little brother to theocratic murderer. Yeah. Actually, like Bellows as the villain, problem was that he was supposed to be more fleshed out, but the third season was cut down to 3 specials, and so he didn't have time. Baxter and his brother. Even then, I think from what you see, you could get, like, everything I just said is in the show. You see all that. I love how Doug loves Amity. She definitely is one of the most and best characters in this. And while I get why he doesn't like Bellows, but at the same time, a little more than just Ozai type. Yeah, because Ozai sucks. Ozai is a terrible villain. He's literally just there so Aang can beat with a fifth element that he just learns in 5 seconds, and then people want to talk shit about Korra spending like 15 years or so learning 3 of the 4 elements, and then saying she just grew the powers immediately. Like, shut the hell up. There's so many things. There's so many, like, if you watch my videos, you know, you can 100% know what I love and hate. Like, I hate the Amphibia ending. I hate Spider-Man 2. I hate Spider-Man 2. People say that's the best written one. It's not. It's it's shit. I honestly want to make a video talking about how, I legitimately want to make a video that talks about how to fix Spider-Man 2, because I think it's some simple fixes. Some simple fixes could easily make that a way better movie. But by God, and yeah, God, whatever. Just keep going. But yeah, it was, and like Avatar's ending like that. Like, I love the world of Avatar. I'm not gonna lie about that. But also, I love the evolved world of Korra's. But I will say the writing is a lot more lackluster in Korra's, and that's mostly because they done over because they kept saying, "No, you only get 1 season. Now you get another season. Now you get another season. Now you get another season. No more seasons." like God. Anyways, that person, you will just the sake of it. Sure, if we never knew his backstory and was just a generic emperor, then yeah, I agree about him being bland. But unlike Ozai, we have a power-hungry dictator. Bellos is a few layers. His character layers spelled wrong, but I'll allow it. Firstly, you need to understand the time period it came from. Philip grew up in the humans' witchcraft, nothing more than pure evil, work of the devil, and practiced it. And then he was killed by the daughter of the devil, in a sense. With if she's technically speaking, if Lou's technically speaking like an adopted daughter to the Titan now. Would be executed? Look at the villain's background in Paranorma, for example. Something basically realized in which trials obviously these people into wrong delusional. But for Bella, it's not just lived to grown up in time in history and it became a villain, especially considering the fact that he kept himself alive. Yeah, it's the idea of dogmatic old thinkings and shit. And making him insane. It wasn't cut to absolutely love the series, much wild, creepy energy, incredibly and well, anime fights and yes, GT romance I've ever seen. Yes, and they did it all. And they started that shit in the first season too. They didn't wait till the 3rd season and then have it just be a kiss at the end. While God, like, I'm not gonna lie, I rewatched She-Ra from beginning to end, knowing where it leads. And I still, like, first season and like 2nd season, I still like 100% watch them like they're sisters. Until the end, and then it's like, okay, now they're lovers. But I'm like, they grew up together. They had the same mom, Shadow Weaver, stepmom, Shadow Weaver, and like, I don't know, they still read off more as sisters until towards the end, where it feels like it flipped more. But I don't know. I'll give a minute. But yeah, so anyways, that's just my take on it. Disney Renaissance. Someone grew up during the Disney Renaissance. Single-handedly my favorite Disney property. Etc. Very imaginative, exciting, very emotional, close, perfect as television program can get. Yeah, all right, I'm going with that. I'll end on that one. Yeah, but I don't agree on the Bellos fact, especially coming from a man who has straight up said multiple times, we don't, like, stop giving them, like, tragic backstories. Make them evil. Coming off of someone who has done that argument so many damn times. I do not agree with the Bellos one. And I feel like there's a little bit of under, which, mind you, I get it. I'm assuming things. So I'm sorry, Doug, if that's the case. We're probably not on a first name basis. I'm sorry, but that's at least how, like, if you want to prove me, like, that's my whole thing. I would love to talk about this shit. But that's my point on that note. On that side. Other than that, yes, I love the Owl House. And honestly, I'm kind of happy seeing that Doug actually did like it too. And again, by God, the whole idea of the combination, the theme of combining different old things together or different things together to make, I'm like, by God, because again, I'm gonna say this right. If you've seen some of my streams where I just talk about, where I play games and I just talk about when I make like my own little anime show, Owl Town, like, you will know 100%. I like certain characters I say that will eventually come up, or certain characters are going to be expected. God, like, I 100% I love the idea of mixing different ideas that I love together. Hell, Owl Wolf Town and the whole thing is around witches and kaijus. Should give you somewhat of an idea of something that these two things are kind of based off of. My show is a little bit slightly based off of. Let's just forget the fact that the Great Owl Wolf is the main kaiju that we've really seen so far. His main color design is blue, and there's a little bit of spikily fur kind of going on. Just saying, shoots blue energy beams out of his goddamn mouth. Just wanted to say that. But in any case, but God, I love that whole idea with the combination. Other than that, like, I love a lot of this, and yeah, I agree with the idea of music, the epic, and all that stuff. I feel like he definitely did. He didn't even bring up the stuff about like the idea of Final Fantasy, but then again, I guess he did kind of bring up like it's going to hit a certain amount of people. It's going for. Anyways, this man is a beast. I love him so much. God, but yeah, I love this. Yeah, I like a lot of his stuff. The only thing I really don't agree with is the Bellows thing. But thanks for watching. True Videos Dead. Links are on Facebook, description, next one, create videos. Hopefully enjoy this. Doug, I live in Chicago. Call me. I would love to, or message me. I would love to be on the social videos. I would love to join. I would not gonna lie. I would love to, as a side job, that'd be a great thing to do. Anyway, thanks for watching the videos. Hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you later. Did you know that Godzilla's name, Gojira, actually translates, because I feel it's a mix of like two different kanji, so I'm not sure how that Japanese thing works, but it's a combination of two words, gorilla and whale. So the combination of two different creatures together to make a single badass kaiju, like Owl Wolf.